been received. All other documents have been received. This is the acknowledgement copy of the petition.
Is it the entire constituents or just a group of people? Under which platform are you representing?
Okay, it is a concerned Kogi youth and women.
Okay.
Yes.
And who is controlling this?
Talking about bankroll is a personal business, or it's a personal thing. We are members of our constituents, and we are saying we don't want her anymore because you cannot afford not to have a representative. So nobody is bankrolling. Well, we are the one that voted her, and we are saying we don't want her anymore. So we're not. Nobody is bankrolling. Nobody is having any personal issue with her. It is just what it is. The game is the game.
Okay. When you say you come to submit petition,
yes,
is it a process that maybe you have collected the signature already, or you're about to do that? What are the things you have done already?
Okay.
Oh, thank you for staying with us. Right there, you saw the constituents of Senator Natasha-Akpabio. They've started the process of recall. They've written to INEC. They've submitted their petition to recall the senator representing them. That's Kogi Central, Senator Natasha-Akpabio. And just recently, INEC said they picked some holes in that petition. It wasn't detailed enough. They didn't include telephone numbers and addresses. And some people will say, well, those are minor challenges that can easily be resolved. About 250,000 people actually signed that petition from her constituency. These people are saying, they call themselves concerned Kogi youth and women, something like that. So, and they are saying they do not want Senator Natasha to represent them anymore. And they've started the process of recall. Also, we'll be looking at the Natasha and Akpabio face-off in the Senate. Just yesterday, it took another turn when the judge, a federal high court judge in Abuja, Justice Obiora, Obiora Igwatu, recused himself from the case. This particular judge, on the 4th of March, issued an interim order stopping the Senate from carrying out any disciplinary action on Senator Natasha-Akpabio. But there were problems in that order, and that order had to be vacated because it was a blanket order. It wasn't specific. If that order should be granted, it will technically stop the Senate of Nigeria from performing their constitutional duties, which made that order null and void. Also, the Senate President himself, Senator Godswill Akpabio, submitted a petition against the judge. Questioning his objectivity in this case. So the judge had to recuse himself from that case yesterday. Joining us on this conversation this morning, we have Barrister Chetam Wala, a lawyer and, of course, an activist. Barrister Wala, thank you for joining us again this morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me on your show once again.
A very good morning to you. Barrister, very quickly, in this case, in this face-off, I would like to start with a face-off between Natasha-Akpabio and the Senate President. What do you say to this? The judge has just recused himself from that case. If you look at the order given by the judge initially, in your opinion, as a legal practitioner, why would the judge do something like that? The order was not specific. He gave an interim order, which was not specific. So the Senate, the counsel to the Senate argued that you can't just give an order like that will stop the Senate from performing their constitutional duties according to the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So why would the judge make that kind of mistake in this case?
Is it a mistake? The point is this, I have always said one thing, and that is, if a court gives an order, whether it was wrongly or rightly done, that order should be obeyed. That order must be obeyed. That order remains a valid order of a court of competent jurisdiction, and it should be obeyed. However, no matter how bad you feel about the order, the best you can do is to appeal against it. But it's an order of court, and that order must be obeyed in the circumstance.
Now, the Senate never obeyed that order. The Senate never obeyed that order. They still went ahead to slam the disciplinary action against Senator Natasha-Akpabio.
That is the sad part. See, that's the sad part, you know. These people continuously defecate on our constitution, they continually defecate on our courts, and they bastardize the entire situation. And like I keep on saying, you know, when the judiciary or judicial officers continue to hobnob with politicians, this is the result of what you get, where nobody respects court orders and all that. You know, when we had the likes of Justice Oputa on the panel of our judiciary, and we see how much respect and regard people like that have, Justice Mohammed Uwais and the rest of them. And you look at those caliber of persons. Today you have people in the judiciary that you can raise concerns about their personality and all that. That's why you see these politicians do not regard them. They hobnob with these politicians, they are friends with these politicians, and it becomes difficult. It becomes difficult. But beyond all that, the Senate today, as presently led by Senator Godswill Akpabio, is a show of shame. It's a show of shame. There's no integrity in it. It doesn't have any integrity. I can tell you for free that Nigerians have no trust for that particular Senate. They have no trust at all.
Oh, but Barrister Wanga, the judge himself, that's Obiora Egwatu right now, he had to vacate that order. He vacated that order on the 19th of March because he saw to the argument of the council to the Senate, and he had no choice than to vacate that order. So are you saying it is not a mistake on his part in the first place?
No. There's a way an interim order works. This is how an interim order works. An interim order is heard without hearing because it's an order of urgency. That is, it comes ex parte. It comes without putting the other party on notice. When such interim order is heard before the court hears the order on the basis of the one-sided information and looks at the urgency within it. If it is urgent enough, if the reasons are cogent enough to grant the order, and the court will immediately grant the order, placing and saying that if we discover that this order is not true, these issues you have told us is not true, there are certain specific fines that you would have to pay in the circumstance. Now, there is also a possibility that when the other party, the court has granted that order, having granted that order on hearing one side, when the other party is placed on notice and comes to court and comes to argue out that same order, because that order normally is supposed to last for 7 days or till the next adjourned date. Now, having granted that order, when the parties return now and this other party is placed on notice and comes to court to say, see, you granted that order by courier, that this is the true position of things. The court will look at the interim order it had made. We will look at the order it has made and say, okay, based on your argument and this person's argument, I think this order I gave was not proper in the circumstance, and correct itself where necessary. And I think that is where the court vacated that particular order. So interim orders are usually granted on one-sided basis. Both parties are usually not here in that circumstance. However, they are also being given time to come and explain their own part where such order will be vacated or such order would be kept pending the determination of the entire suit. So in this circumstance, if the court decide to vacate the order as well as recuse himself in the circumstance, of course there are factors that will make a judge recuse himself. Factors of the issue of bias, factors of the issue of other influence and all that, threat to life and all that. Once these factors are there, it is only reasonable in the circumstance for the court to recuse itself. Once there is a fiduciary relationship between the judge and whomever, any of the parties, it is also reasonable that the court will definitely recuse itself in that circumstance. Let people who are neutral in the circumstance handle the said matter. Right now, we hear that the matter has been moved to Justice Omotosho's court, and we are hoping that Justice Omotosho will do justice in the circumstance. All
right. Now, let's talk about the recall process. Some constituents, some registered voters from the Kogi Central Senatorial District, to where the suspended Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan comes from, have submitted a petition. They started the process, a few weeks ago. And they submitted the petition to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, for the recall of the Senator, Natasha-Akpabio. And they said they are the concerned Kogi youth and women, and submitted the petition at the Commission's headquarters. And the petition was titled Constituents Petition for the Recall of Senator Natasha-Akpabio on the grounds of loss of confidence. And it was addressed to the INEC chairman, Mahmood Yakubu. And they said, and I quote, "We, the undersigned, being duly registered voters of the Kogi Central Senatorial District, hereby invoke our rights under the laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to formally demand the recall of Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan from the Nigerian Senate." And they stated their ground, Section 68 of the 1999 Constitution, as amended. And they said, can they recall that Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan emerged as a senator by verdict of the court, and, yada, yada. Because of time, they said it was due to the loss of confidence. The leader of the group, Charity Omole, she spoke on behalf of that group and told journalists that after submitting the petition that they have lost confidence in Mrs. Akpoti-Uduaghan. She said, "We have lost confidence in her because of her gross misconduct that led to her suspension of the Senate, and we, the Kogi Central, not to be represented. We, the people of Kogi Central, voted her in, and we are here to recall her. We have 488,000 registered voters that I speak to you now. We have more than 250,000 voters who have signed for her recall." Now, let me ask you, Barrister, what is the due process? Now, we learned INEC has faulted, some of those, the process, and highlighted one or two things that they didn't do rightly, but they are committed to doing it rightly. That's INEC. What is the legal process of recalling a senator of the Federal Republic?
If you go by section 110 of the Constitution, it also did bring out the procedures for the recall process of what a recall should look like. The Constitution, in describing the recall process, has stated clearly what a recall process should be. That first, about the Constitution said in A, it says that there is presented to the national chairman of the INEC a petition that is signed on behalf by more than 1/2 of the persons registered to vote in that member's constituency, alleging the loss of confidence in the member, and which signatures are duly verified by the Independent National Electoral Commission. Now, the first process is this: half of the total number of the voters within the constituents or senatorial district in this circumstance, within the senatorial district, would have to sign a petition asking that this person be recalled. Now, when that petition has been signed, INEC would have to verify this petition vis-a-vis the persons who signed this petition. Then, by the petition, after INEC has verified this, INEC will now conduct a referendum within 90 days of the receipts. Will now conduct a referendum within 90 days within that senatorial district. The referendum is just like an election, where the people would now come to vote yes or no. It is on the strength of the yes or no votes that once that is done, and maybe the people vote yes, that the person should be removed, then INEC can now withdraw the certificate of return given to the said senator or House of Assembly member, depending on the circumstances we are dealing with. But in this circumstance, INEC has also gone ahead to issue out a statement which also explains this whole scenario. If you look at the INEC social media handles, you discover that there is a statement by INEC, and where INEC has stated that they had received the petition, but however, that the petitioner failed to place the phone numbers of the other signatories. It is just the phone number of the lead person, and the address of the petitioners were not also captured. Of the petitioners were also not captured. Because the truth be told, anybody can take the INEC register and start signing, write the names, sign. These things can happen. Anybody can pick up the INEC register and do that, and at the end of the day, claim and say the people have signed. Meanwhile, you find in the list that some persons whose names are there are dead people. Some persons whose names are there are probably not even within the country. They've all left the country. But yet, there are a provision that said that they signed in the circumstance. So that's why INEC raised up concern and said, see, you did not add the phone numbers of these people who signed this petition. Their phone numbers are supposed to be there. Their address are also supposed to be there in the circumstance, so that we can verify. Because if we do not have this phone number, how do we verify from these people that they actually signed this thing to make us proceed with a referendum? And don't forget, the referendum is an expensive process. It would have to mean that the state have to spend money to have, it's like conducting a fresh election within the senatorial district. So INEC is going to spend a lot of money. They're going to deploy lots of staff. Security will also be deployed in the circumstance. You will definitely have, it's just like an election. But this time around is like an election to determine whether a sitting member or a sitting senator should be recalled from the House or not. Now, but INEC, from what I see, from the body language of INEC, I don't think this petition is going to fly. And if you look at what is happening in Kogi, it is unfortunate that it is sad that Natasha is going through whatever she is going through in the hands of Senator Godswill Akpabio. I must tell you that it is just Godswill Akpabio being vindictive, and I must tell you categorically that those people you see there are majorly sponsored. Let me give you an example. Of course, you know, Natasha has been a pain in the neck of these other people, and she is one bone they want to take out. Don't forget, the lady leading this recall process is an heir to the Kogi state governor, who happens to be an ally of the Senate President. And of course, you know what it is in the circumstance. So this is just people deceiving themselves, trying to gather what. And we've also seen videos emerge on social media where these people gathered in a room and they were writing down names and signing on behalf of constituents within the senatorial district. Which is sad and funny. It tells me how the Nigerian desperation in Nigeria is sometimes, and how these politicians will go at every length to make sure that they get back at their political opponent and to make sure their political opponents cry.
All right, Barrister. Very quickly, Barrister.
Or the other to cry out the level of marginalization, sexual harassment she has suffered as a woman in Nigerian politics. And let me tell you, don't rule this out. No ruling out. Her claims may not be right, her claims may be right, but the truth is this: these things happen in our politics. Women are used as sex tools within our politics. They are harassed every day. A lot of them don't speak up. They just manage themselves through the process.
All right, Barrister.
Mostly, over this whole thing, and it's sad and unfortunate.
All right, Barrister. I was going to mention that just before you said it now, that the claims of sexual harassment. So let us assume that Natasha-Akpabio is actually saying the truth. But the question is she going about it the right way? That's number one. Number two, does she have the evidence? Does she have evidences to prove this case of sexual harassment? Well, most times it's just her word against the word of the President of the Senate. Does she really have evidence? Some people will say she's a lawyer. She should have been smarter. She should have gotten more evidence. Possibly even led him on so that she would get hard evidence against him. But it seems she doesn't have all that. All about conversations, contextual meanings that can be debated in court. So does she really have the evidence? And again, Barrister, if you say that she's been a thorn in the flesh of the principal leaders in the Senate and they're trying to remove her, how come she is not having support from her colleagues? How come other groups are not standing up to support her? Now they're trying to remove her. Our constituents have signed a petition. Over 250,000 people allegedly signed that petition. We are yet to verify whether they are real people or imaginary people, like you said. But again, why are people not rising in support of Senator Natasha? If she's right, if she's innocent, why are people not rising up to support her? Why is it that from all angles, it seems as though everyone is against her? Why is she not having that kind of support from our colleagues and from other Nigerian groups as well?
Let me tell you something. When you say whether a person is going about it the right or the wrong way, it's you ask yourself, is the person going about it according to the laws of the land? And if you ask me, in my own view and my personal opinion, Senator has not done anything wrong yet in terms of her approach to getting justice in the circumstance. That she claimed that what is happening in the Senate is not about misconduct, it's about sexual harassment against her by the Senate President, and has accused him in face-to-face without mixing words, and accused him on different media platforms and all that. Why is the Senate President not raising up concern? Why is the Senate President not even suing her for defamation? Why is it the Senate President's wife that is dealing with the issue that went to court and not the Senate President, who would have naturally sued for defamation? So if she does not have her facts right, I don't believe that she would come up to speak and say, oh, these things happen. And let's not forget, this is not the first time the issue of sexual harassment, is coming against the Senate President. We had Joy Nunez, who was former NDDC boss, came up also and also made the same claims against Senator Godswill Akpabio. When she was NDDC boss, the Senator was then Minister of the Niger Delta. And we know NDDC then was under the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs. And I tell you for free that they had those conversations, those issues had come up and all that. And we saw even at one point when they wanted to intimidate her and arrest Mrs. Joy Nunez, and we saw the resistance then from the then governor of Rivers State, being Yeson Wike, who stopped the arrest of Joy Nunez. We had this particular circumstance, these issues. Let me tell you something. The senators, the people you have in the Senate today, are largely cowards. Cowards, I said so. They can take me anywhere. You know, I'm not scared of them. They are largely cowards. The reason why none of them will support Senator Natasha is not because they don't believe her or they do not support her. It's because the reason they will not come openly is because if you don't support Senator Natasha, you will not get jobs, you will not get contracts. By the next budgeting year, the Senate President who looks like a vindictive person and has shown those tendencies would actually victimize them.
That's a big accusation there.
Allow me just exhaust my thought, please. Yeah. I am telling you for free because I have worked at the National Assembly. Right. I worked at the National Assembly for 4 good years, and I must tell you how it works there. They would victimize you because you're not in line with the Speaker or with the Senate President. Your constituency will suffer immensely. And that's what is happening to Senator Natasha. It is not about seat arrangement. Forget those rhetorics there. It's not, I can tell you for free, it is not. It goes beyond seat arrangement. It goes beyond seat arrangement. When the issue of seat arrangement affected Senator Akpabio, didn't you see how they resolved it? They resolved it quietly and moved on. But this is beyond seat arrangement. Don't forget, Senator Natasha's husband is a very good friend of the Senate President. Would they not have resolved these issues within themselves rather than go the length they have gone? Why is Senator Natasha's husband supporting Senator Natasha against his own good friend? It is because there is more to it. But the problem we have is that we just look at things on the bare face and we move on and we say, oh, this one is wrong, that one is right. Let me tell you, the Nigerian society and the issue of support groups supporting people, people are being supported when people brace their support for people when they are paid. That's the sad reality of our society. Right. Those people you see shouting up and calling people and all that, they are paid. We all know that they are paid.
Barrister, if they are paid, sorry to cut in, Barrister, if these people are paid, why are not other groups rising up to support Natasha, apart from her colleagues now? Okay, why are other groups of Nigerians not rising up to support her?
She has not also found it necessary to start paying people to support her.
So you mean without being paid? Barrister Wanda, you mean without being paid, people will not support you in Nigeria?
You don't understand what's happening in this country. You seem to speak like you just came into the country today. This is our reality today. It's a mess. It's a mess.
Let me draw your attention, Barrister, if I may.
People only that when they are paid. Let me tell you something. Please hold on. Let me tell you something. We did end bad governance protest. The momentum was high. End bad governance protest, undertake it back. And revolution now. Of course, majorly led by Sori, and those of us who led from our different states. A lot of group, even civil society organizations, pulled out of the protests. Why? They were paid not to participate in the protests. They pulled out of the protests. This is our Nigeria today. So the protest did not get the momentum it would have ordinarily gotten if these people were not paid to pull out. And those who managed to come out, every day as individuals, every day as people come out, you see this one, oh, we don't have transport to go back. We have not eaten since morning. You start spending from your own pocket just to encourage
interesting
them.
one there, Barrister. And these are the type of things that we should keep talking about. The culture of silencing people should never be the order of the day. But talking about support, a situation happened at the Ethics Committee sitting yesterday and privileges sitting yesterday at the Nigerian Senate, where senators were there still on this matter, and there were support, call them witness, from former minister in Nigeria, Obi-Ezekwesili, and another person. They came in a group to speak on behalf of Senator Natasha and, of course, Senator Akpabio, one of, I think is the deputy whip, I stand to be corrected, and one person who has been speaking in support of the Senate President. A situation ensued and they had a go at each other, hurling insult at one another. For a minute, let's just take a look.
Mr. Chairman, sir, would you like to I don't want to something herself. It's okay, madam. It's okay, madam. It's okay, madam. At least respect yourself. Shut up and take him out. Smell him out. Smell him out. Look like a dog. Look at you.
Senator, why are you talking to me like that? You are a disgrace to the Senate. You are an insult to womanhood. you are an insult to womanhood. And you are here to tell the world that you have not changed. You cannot violate. You are here to tell the world that you have not changed. You are 70, you have not changed.
All right, that was one of what happened yesterday. Quite a very feisty one. Senator Akpabio, had support of the Senate President, was at that sitting, and, had a go. And beside him was an eminent lawyer, I think Barrister Ubani, I think former NBA president in Lagos or thereabout. And then Obi-Ezekwesili, on the other hand, we were told somebody wanted to speak, and then according to some narrative that Obi interjected to say, please keep quiet, let the man speak. And Senator Akpabio wasn't having it to say, why are you here? You are not supposed to be here. And then insults were held on, both sides of the divide. And it was still on this Natasha-Akpabio suspension issue. What do you make of that situation, Barrister?
I think I've listened to...
Because you talked about support.
I listened to Mrs. Obi-Ezekwesili, her explanation on one of the national TVs. I also listened to Senator Akpabio and his explanations of what had happened and all that. I must say it's quite sad and unfortunate. First of all, I must condemn the fact that Obi-Ezekwesili had to ask the senator for whatever reason to shut up at the beginning, because she owned up to it and she said that she did ask him to shut up because probably whatever he was saying wasn't going down well with her. There are other ways of saying a thing without necessarily sounding insulting, and that provoked, even if Senator Akpabio was already agitated and provoked, but I think it further provoked him into reacting the way he reacted. You know, I must say that it was really sad. It was really unfortunate. Even if one had asked you to shut up, the person had not put a knife through your throat or a gun to your head and all that. There are ways you would definitely raise up this concern, even at that particular committee floor. Raise up the concern and ask the person to withdraw the statement, that particular comment, and render an apology to you, than calling on out and shouting and calling her names. And oh, it was really shameful and sad coming from Senator Akpabio. It's really unfortunate and really sad. You know what is even further sad? What is further sad is that these are two Igbo people who are actually coming together to quarrel over what I do not even understand, and it's really unfortunate. No, and when I also listened to the senator on one of the national televisions, he was still boasting and bragging and saying, "Oh, I gave it to her." I felt so ashamed. I felt so ashamed of it. And he was asked, "Do you regret your action?" He said, "No. Why would I regret it? Why would I regret it? I gave it to her." And I'm like, no. That was a public disgrace of himself and whomever sent him to the National Assembly. It's really sad and unfortunate. A senator should not behave in the way he had behaved, should not act in the way he had acted. It is really actually unfortunate that it's really sad. If you look at the demeanor of Obi, she was quite calm in even talking to him and saying whatever she was saying. She said to him, he was ranting, jumping everywhere, and that he was doing the same thing on TV. And I'm like, no. At some point, you should sense and reasonability should have restored back to you, and you should be calm to say, "Oh, I regret my actions, but I was provoked in the circumstance." And it tells you the caliber and the kind of people we have in the Senate, who are actually our leaders today, who do not actually take responsibilities for their actions. Imagine children listening to him and watching his behavior, that gutter behavior, and he's expecting that those children should follow suit and look at him as a mentor. It is sad, it is unfortunate, it is irresponsible coming from Senator Akpabio. It is really irresponsible.
All right, Barrister Wala. We really have to go now because of time. But just before we go, just a quick one from you, just two questions. Where do you see the face-off between Senator Natasha-Akpabio and the Senate President Godswill Akpabio? How do you see it ending? How do you see it playing out, the face-off between them? The allegations, the counter-allegations, the lawsuits and all that. How do you see it ending? And again, the process of recall of Senator Natasha. Do you see any credibility to it? And how do you see it ending? How do you see it playing out?
I must say that, first of all, the issue of the recall, truth be told, the issue of the recall, by my own assessment, it is not going to fly. It's not going to fly. I see INEC throwing it out. If you read that INEC statement, you will know quite well that INEC is going to throw it out. INEC will not really take it seriously. That's on the one hand. Then on the issue of the matter ending, the truth of the matter is that the court would have to give a verdict that both parties would have to obey. But beyond that, nothing of I don't see any resolution amongst them. I don't even see the Senate recalling her back within 6 months.
All right. And
as they looking at their suspension, even if some of us have had that suspension known to law, that you cannot, that even the court have held on several occasions that you cannot suspend a member of the National Assembly, especially allowing his constituent to suffer in the circumstance. So you're suspending her for 6 months.
We must sincerely thank
an entire state, which is unfortunate and sad.
All right. You know, I was almost calling you a senator, but maybe not now. Barrister Chitam Fearing-Wala, an activist and, of course, you know, legal professional. Thank you for your time and your take on the program today.
Thank you for having me.
All right. We should go.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're out of time. It's been a wonderful program. Thank you so much for joining us. You can check out this conversation on YouTube and our social media handles. Right. My name is Emeka Daniel. Thank you once again for joining us. Let's do this again tomorrow. Do have a wonderful day.
And of course, those platforms are all at Western Spring Television and on YouTube, Western Spring TV. Femi Ojo is my name. Don't look for trouble. But then, you know, as they say in Lagos, fight today, fight no day.
Absolutely.
Always be guarded. But stay alive. A big shout out to the production team. See you tomorrow, God willing.